Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. This time around we are going to be going over the changes to Ice Nova of Frostbolts in patch 3.26. This is a very quick, dirty upload, guys. I have a very busy weekend ahead of me, so I'm just going to try to get this video out to answer some of the questions I've seen on YouTube, some discussions I've seen on the forums and Reddit. So, right off the bat, there are some changes to Ice Nova, to Archmage, and to the Hierophant Ascendancy. Let's go over each one and talk about how it affects our builds. We'll start with the Ice Nova of Frostbolts gem. The first thing you're going to notice is a reduction to the area of effect. They are removing the 25% less area of effect when cast on Frostbolt, and instead they are nerfing the base radius of the skill. Instead of being 3.3 meters, it's going to be 2.2 meters. All in all, if we do the math, you are expecting about 25% less area of effect than what you are used to on this build right now. So this is what it looks like in patch 3.25. All right. So I just gotta jump around, make sure my intensify doesn't slow it down. Alright, you are expecting 25% less area of effect than what you see here, okay? So that is the area of effect changes in a nutshell. The bigger and probably more detrimental change is they are changing how many times you can expand Ice Nova from the Frostbolt projectiles. In the live version of the game, we can currently expand from up to 4 Frostbolt projectiles per cast. Alright, with Spell Echo, this is a total of 8 every time you click your button. So let's get these things going. So when I click this, you're seeing 8 Frost Nova appear from these Frostbolts. Right? It might not look like that, but that's what it is in the live version of the game. So how is this being changed? Instead of expand from up to 4, it's going to say expand from up to 2 Frostbolt projectiles. Okay, so they're having the number of expansions you can get. So baseline is going to be 2 expansions. With Spell Echo, we are going to see 4 expansions. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the Spell Echo gem from our setup. That should give us an idea of what it will look like once the changes go in. So now you are seeing 4 expansions instead of 8. And this is what you are going to see once the changes are in. Okay, it's halved our damage, and it also has reduced our clear speed to some extent. Now, the other thing that is being changed is our Ascendancy. So if we go to the Hierophant Ascendancy, there is a node here called Sanctuary of Thought. Okay, so the first thing is we are losing 25% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. This does not affect our build. We have our mana completely unreserved, so losing that is more of a detriment for other archetypes. It doesn't affect our build any. But what they are changing is they are removing the 50% less mana cost of skills that comes with Sanctuary of Thought. With this enabled, our Ice Nova of Frostbolts costs 211 mana per cast. So every time we do this, 211 mana is spent, and you can see that our mana sustain is good. We are still topped off at maximum mana. I'll go to an active map so that we can see the Arcane Cloak procs, because Arcane Cloak eats up a ton of your mana when it procs. You can see it happened right there. So we want to balance our character around having mana surplus even when Arcane Cloak procs. So you can see here that I am barely keeping that afloat, and if I stop casting for a bit, then it'll top up. We also have some mana recovery on kill and mana recoup. That is also going to help our mana sustain, but right now you can see that it is a very fine line we are walking to keep our mana regenerating even when we are casting Ice Nova of Frostbolts with Arcane Cloak on an automation setup. So how are we going to simulate losing the 50% less mana cost of skills? Well, whatever it says here, it says 211 mana. We need that to save 422 mana. Now, the easiest way to do this is to remove some of the mana reduction nodes. So you'll see here I have a Mana Mastery, 10% reduced mana cost of skills. Let's remove that. All right, and then we will remove Dreamer. This is another 10% reduction, 5% over here, and I believe there is Righteous Decree, and this 3% reduced mana cost of skills small node over here. So if you remove all of that, our mana cost is now at 335. This still doesn't represent how bad it'll be after the changes. So to do that, we're going to have to increase our mana cost using Forethought over here, and then that puts us at 429 mana. So now if we cast Ice Nova of Frostbolts, you'll see that our mana sustain is no longer at a net positive, alright? We can no longer just sit there and hold the button down. We will run out of mana, and that is not good for our build. And then if we go into the ledge to see how this works with the automation Arcane Cloak support, well, we're probably going to be in for a little bit of trouble. I'm just going to let it top up real quick, and then we spam it, and then you'll see Arcane Cloak proc. Alright, and then we are out of mana. Alright, I'll do that for another show real quick. Okay, now that our mana is full, let's turn on automation, Arcane Cloak will proc, and then you'll see immediately after we are out of mana, and that is quite sad for our build. Okay, so let's go back to the hideout. Now, the other way the build is being nerfed is they are reducing the damage modifier on Archmage. Currently, Archmage gives you 19% of your unreserved maximum mana added as lightning damage. Instead, it is being reduced to 16%. So to simulate this, we are going to remove our level 20 quality Archmage, and we're going to put in a level 14 20 quality Archmage instead. Alright, so this is going to simulate the damage nerfed Archmage, and then we've already shown you the mana sustain nerf to the Hierophant Sanctuary of Thought. We've done that by changing reduced mana cost nodes into increased mana cost of skills. Alright, so instead of 211 mana per cast, we are looking at 429. And then to simulate the 50% damage reduction of the expansions from Frostbolt projectiles, we're simply going to remove Spell Echo. So by removing Spell Echo, instead of getting a total of 8 expansions, we are getting a total of 4 expansions. Okay, so we've halved our damage in that sense. Now there is a problem in doing this, and that is going to be our mana cost is going to reduce because we are no longer using Spell Echo. Is there a way for me to fix that? Let's try by removing the inspiration support, and then we will add a faster casting. Okay, and now we are at 436 mana per cast, just like we were before. So I'll put inspiration at the side here, we'll put Spell Echo on Frostblink, and everything you see here should be simulating the nerfs in patch 3.26. Now I haven't had the chance of testing this in-game. Let's start off by looking at our single target damage. We'll put a Maven's Writ, and then we will see how it plays. So let's explore this together, guys. Alright, so this is just regular Maven. This is for the person who asked what the single target damage will be in the non-Uber Pinnacle bosses. So let's see. Alright, so you can see here that my mana sustain is really bad, but our DPS is still, you know, like, I guess it's okay. You don't melt her in like 5 seconds like you do with the proper setup, but it's not bad by any means. Now, full disclosure, guys, this is a very optimized character, which means that you can't be expecting damage like this on a league start budget, right? I have my Mage Blood, I have a really good wand over here, we have the Haunted by Tormented Spirits, we've also gone through some other means of improving the damage and maximum mana of our build, right? I've got 8,000 mana here, so yeah, let's just get through the Maven real quick. We'll see what the timer is when we finish, and then we'll get an idea of what to expect once the nerfs are in. Oh my god, how did I survive that hit? Okay, so Maven is almost dead here. So that took us 5 minutes. I goofed and got into a second memory game in the last phase. Very nice Orb of Conflict here. I'll pick that up. Alright, so that is what the single target looks like with the nerfs, you could say. Okay, the other thing I wanted to test is what this looks like in a mapping situation. I've gone ahead and prepared a T17 here. It's nothing too crazy, just a couple of curses. Monsters have increased AoE, and the boss has increased life. We're not going to kill the boss on this one, or at least focus on that. So let's just put this in. We have a Atlas here that has a map effect, I believe, as well as some altars. So just your typical Alkengo setup. So I'll put this in and let's see what this looks like in a mapping situation. Okay, you can also turn on the Delirium, I suppose. So it looks like our damage for the monsters is still sufficient. Our mana is quite low, and remember that it is a mind over matter build, so if your mana is low, that means you are less survivable because you have less EHP from not being at full mana, okay? So I think if we want to play this build in 3.26, we're going to have to look at how we can get that mana sustain up. I don't really care about this loot here, guys. I have a lot of things to be doing in real life right now, but I did want to get this video out just for those of you guys who are wondering whether or not the build will still be viable. This is still quite good in terms of mapping. It's no LS Trickster. It's not one of your, mirror tier builds, but if you like the playstyle of Ice Nova of Frostbolts, I don't really see why you couldn't recreate it in patch 3.26. Anyways, guys, I am rambling on. I'm going to finish the rest of this map. Maybe I'll play some music for you while that happens, and then we'll talk about my closing thoughts on how this build is going to feel in 3.26. Oh, we got a nameless seer. Okay, let's look at the nameless seer here. So, anything good? Anything good? No, guys, it looks like a bunch of crap. Let's just take this ring, and then we'll deal with the rest later. I think the map is mostly clear. I don't really care enough to clear the full thing. I think it's plenty for the showcase. The boss room is here. A reminder that this is a 65% increase life on the boss, so let's see how he feels to kill. Alright, this is another take on the single target. So, we're still plenty of tanky. Alright, we will use our Impurity of Lightning that I had set up. It does feel quite bad to run out of mana, but yeah, maybe we'll find a solution to the mana sustain, and then the build will feel good to play again. And if we can't, then I guess you just have to deal with a fantastic mapper and a pretty mediocre single target bosser or whatever. Alright, the boss is dead. Ugh! Let's loot this real quick and then head back to town. Alright, whatever, no one cares. So, guys, what do I think about the changes? I think the Ice Nova of Frostbolts Hierophant is still going to be a phenomenal mapper. I think our single target damage for bosses has been gutted. It is now mediocre at best. Right, a reminder that our character here is juiced to the gills. I will include a path of building for my current setup in the video. Right, something like this takes a lot of investment to get set up into, and even then, your single target is still just kind of meh. So, yeah. Do I think these nerfs are justified? Yeah, I would say so. The fact that we can still blast through a T-17, except the boss at the end, feels fantastic. If you're doing content that doesn't require tons of single target DPS, this character is still going to feel great to play. The progression curve might be a little bit worse than it was before, but all in all, I'm quite happy with how the build feels to play, even after the simulated changes. So that's all I have for you guys today. It's a very quick and dirty video. I'm so sorry for not being able to go further into depth into this. That's going to have to wait until next week when I get back from a weekend trip. Some real life commitments ended up coinciding with the patch 3.26 release dates, but that's okay. When I get back, we are going to plow through some potential league starters. We have so many big plans for 3.26, guys. It looks incredible. There's so much stuff. I am incredibly hyped. As Mark said himself, we are so back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with a new video. Bye!